Hi, everyone. We're excited to be here at the Community News Network studios to talk to you about NAMI Miami-Dade County. My name is Susan Holtzman, and I am the president and CEO of the local affiliate of the National Alliance on Mental Illness, otherwise known here as NAMI Miami-Dade County. With me, I have Kate Edelson. Kate, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure thing. Good afternoon. My name is Kate Edelson. I am the Director of Fundraising and Special Events at NAMI Miami. I've been with NAMI for 6 years, and I'm just so pleased to be here today.
Well, thanks for being here. We're both excited to be here to talk about all the great services that NAMI Miami-Dade County offers. Before we get started,
I just wanted to say how much I love your green blazer, Susan.
And I appreciate that. This is my master's blazer. Wanted to put that out there. Not really. I wear the green blazer because green is the color of mental health awareness. So this is hopefully, as we get into May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month, you'll be seeing a lot of green around the county. So wear your green to support mental health all the time. Kate, in your role as our director of special events and fundraising, you're out in the community all the time. And we are currently servicing Miami-Dade and Monroe County. So I want to ask you, because we get this question a lot, I get this question a lot also, while you're out there in the community, what are you hearing from people as far as mental health, mental illness, and what they're experiencing right now?
I'm hearing a lot of different things. So, like you mentioned, I'm out and about all the time talking about NAMI and our different events and our programs. And a lot of the time I'm hearing from people that it's something that's not talked about enough, that it's something that they have experienced themselves or that they've experienced through their family members, and they didn't grow up talking about it. And they're sort of at this point where they've realized that it's not something that they can ignore anymore and that they want to get some help. And so lots of people will reach out to us through our email or through our helpline saying, how do I take the first step forward? How do I deal with the situation that sometimes has been going on for years or for generations even? And they're usually not familiar with our services. They usually call us and they're like, someone's brother's cousin mentioned that this is a resource that can help. How do I get access to these services? I heard that they're free and I want to learn more, because most of the time people don't really understand what it is that we do. So Susan, can you talk more about how NAMI has helped you personally?
Absolutely. I first got involved in NAMI when I was working in Mayor Daniela Levine Cava's office. I was on her staff, and in addition to my responsibilities as her older adult advocate in the community, she added on disabilities and mental health. And my thinking was, what experience do I have with mental health and mental illness? It's the one thing that I really, I'm not trained in this. As a matter of fact, I kind of tried to stay away from that for most of my life. And, but I took on the role, and then I was invited to be on the board of NAMI. And that was where I started to understand the importance of my lived experience when it comes to mental illness and mental health. And there's a history of mental illness in my family. I've spent literally decades dealing with mental health situations of people that I care about. And so I started attending the family support groups at NAMI. And through that, I started to build a network of people who were experiencing some of the same things I had experienced. We could share information, we could speak openly and safely, and we could share resources. And building that resource group was very important to me. And then I attended the family to family education group, which is where I learned so much about how to work within the healthcare system when you're dealing with mental health issues, and what's the best way to talk to someone who might not be in a good place. And again, building that network of other families who had similar situations. So that was very helpful to me. And then I was recruited to become the CEO, which I'll be celebrating 2 years tomorrow. So I'm very excited about that, because this has just been an amazing part of my life and career journey. And I've come to recognize in this 2 years that I spent a lot of time and energy thinking and talking about the mental health conditions of people in my family without really giving any thought or energy or honesty really to my own. I've been treated for depression for around 30 years, really, between therapy and medication, around 30 years. And so I was always thinking about other people that I had been dealing with and not really thinking about my own mental health very much, which I have learned through NAMI that there's a better way to go about that. So us putting on our own oxygen mask is something that I have learned to do. And I've also learned to be open about it and share about it, because I think what we see at NAMI all the time is when we share our own experience, it gives people permission to share theirs and to acknowledge it, and then they can get help for it. So that's been my journey with NAMI, and it has been just such an amazing period of growth at this point in my life. But I know, Kate, you came to NAMI also through personal experience. So can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I started having experiences with mental health conditions pretty early on. I had, of course, no idea what they were at the time, like most people. And while there was a lot of education about drugs and substance use for youth, and to make sure that, they would just sort of tell us not to do it, and they would have speakers in school come in and tell these stories to really scare us about drug use, at no point did anyone talk about mental health. And I always, looking back on it, thought that was a huge issue, because given the fact that you're most vulnerable to develop a mental health condition between the ages of 17 and 24, that would be a good time for us to learn about them right around that age,
Right.
And parents too, as well. So I was not receiving this education. My family was not receiving this education, mind you. And so starting pretty early on, I had some friends who developed some serious mental health conditions. I had a friend in high school who had been one of my good friends since I was 5 years old. He started exhibiting symptoms of mental health conditions. Like we tell the high schoolers in our youth program, they started exhibiting like the key factors, right? Like issues with mood, issues with sleeping, not eating regularly, disconnecting from the things that he loved to do, and then unfortunately hearing and seeing things that weren't there. And so he was not able to graduate on time with us, which was very hard for him and hard for us to see. And it took him a while to get back on track, but eventually he was hospitalized and he got help. And that really had a big effect on my entire friend group. And that was just when we were in high school. And then when I went to college, I sort of ran into the same situation again. And I had to hospitalize my best friend and roommate because she was seeing and hearing things that weren't there. She really disconnected from reality. And unfortunately, her family was on the other side of the country. So when this happened, it was just a bunch of 19-year-olds who had no idea what to do, sort of being like, oh my goodness, our friend is in crisis. And it didn't occur to us to like call the police on her. We didn't want to do that. So we took her to the counseling center, and from there they, sent her to the hospital, and she was in the hospital for about 3 weeks before finally receiving treatment and sort of becoming herself a little bit again. And that really had a big effect on me. And being in the emergency room where a lot of people were disconnected with reality and not doing well in the Hartford Hospital in Connecticut is not an experience you forget easily. I never did. And at the time, I sort of had my own mental health issues. I had already had them. I just didn't know what they were.
Mm-hmm.
And just thinking about my friend and what she'd been through, and like seeing her in the hospital on such a regular basis, it really stuck with me. And I started doing really badly in school. I was very anxious. I was depressed. I was becoming really disconnected. So I actually left school for a while. And I worked as a server in DC. And during that time, I looked for volunteer opportunities. And it just so happened that across the bridge was NAMI National. And so I started volunteering at their helpline because I had already had a vested interest in psychology. And so every week I would cross over the bridge And I would answer calls from people all over the nation who were looking for help, who were exactly in the situation that I had been, of sort of like, I don't know what to do. This is happening. It feels like the world is ending. And we got a lot of calls from Florida, I will say, specifically. But it was an amazing educational experience. It taught me so much about mental health and the fact that there were resources available and that most people had no idea, and that this was extremely common. It was there that I learned that 1 in 5 Americans deal with a mental health condition, and that it's not just this thing that can just happen. There are different reasons for it that can come from stress, maybe from drugs, but also just genetics and a lot of things that are completely out of people's control.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was life-changing for me. And when I came out of the other side, finished my degree in psychology, I was very invested in talking to youth about mental health. I was like, I've been touched by these experiences. I listed a few, but there were many more than just those. And it just became my sort of life mission. And I didn't know what that was going to look like. So when I came back home to Florida, I was kind of like, ooh, like, I wonder if there's this program where kids can be talked to about real life situations when it comes to mental health. And it just so happened that when I came home to Miami, the local NAMI chapter was a mile away. And so
there you go.
I was able to connect. I showed up, I volunteered every day, and I've been there for the last 6 years. So
no longer a volunteer.
No longer a volunteer.
Currently an employee. Yes, currently
Proud
an
to
employee,
say.
which is a lot of actually our employees started out as volunteers. It's a great pathway. And you said so much that is important. One, you talked about how when we talk about youth and when mental health conditions first become apparent, it is usually that those mid to late teens and early adulthood. And it's a very dangerous time because that's often when we're starting to separate from our families. So the people that know us best aren't witnessing changes in behavior and may not be sure what to do. So that's one of the things that at NAMI we work really hard to make sure that we're reaching youth and families in some of our educational programming to help them see those signs. And it may be anxiety, it may be depression, it may be a mental health condition that's going to be short-lived, or something that's going to be chronic throughout their lives and is going to need more management. Like some of the things that you described, some symptoms of maybe a bipolar disorder or schizophrenia.
Yeah.
I think the other important thing is to notice is that you and I are sitting here. I'm towards the end of what I feel very safe in describing as a very successful career that I've had in business, in government, in not-for-profits, the entire time living with a mental health condition. For a while undiagnosed, but it was there, and now I live with it and manage it, and I help other people by sharing it. And you also, Kate, is well known in the community, and she's just shared some of her experience with living with mental health conditions at certain points in her life, and also with working with others and having close people. And so this is all around us, and the acknowledgement of it is not going to have a negative impact on our lives. I think that's part of our message, is by acknowledging it and dealing with it, we can have a positive, and will have a positive impact on our own lives and on the lives of the people that we interact with on a regular basis. So one of the things that we offer at NAMI that I mentioned I first got involved in was the family support groups. So those are groups, support groups for families and loved ones. It could be friends, it could be coworkers, whatever, someone with a mental health condition who can get together and openly discuss what they're experiencing, the challenges, the successes, the opportunities, and the connections. We also have support groups for what we refer to as peers, and that's people living with mental health conditions. So this is so people can talk to each other and manage their own condition and share their own experience and share their resources and provide each other with information. And we offer all of these in English and Spanish. And they are run by trained volunteers. So we train them in the NAMI method of support group facilitation. And so we don't have one in Creole right now, but if we had some volunteers who are willing to run one in Creole, we would be happy to facilitate starting that. So that call is being put out there. So the support groups are very important. We also have a helpline, which is, what's the number? I can never.
305-665-2540.
There we go.
One
That's
day.
the number.
One day we'll have you.
I'm close.
I'll start testing you at the office.
5, yeah.
The poke out from behind. Susan, what's the number?
Yeah, I'm very close. All right, I've only got 4 more numbers. So call our helpline. If you have a question, if you have any kind of a question related to mental health care, mental health resources, what to do in a crisis, anything, we are there to answer those calls. And we also have what we call peer mentors. And these are trained individuals who will sit and speak with you and help you find direction, either on the phone or in person. We now have drop-in hours at the office where you can come in person and meet with one of our peer mentors and get some direction, whether it's for your own condition or someone in your family. So those are the support services we offer. But I think we want to talk about, as you mentioned, the Ending the Silence program for youth and the education programs we offer. Do you want to give a little bit of background on those?
Well, as you know, Ending the Silence is near and dear to my heart. It's the thing that really pulled me into NAMI Miami specifically. It was the one thing that I had my mind on after everything that I had been through, and education is a crucial part of this whole process. One really can't move forward, I think, when it comes to mental health, regardless of whether or not you're the person who's going through it or whether you're the family member. The education aspect is the one thing that's going to really bring the light out of the dark space that sometimes people find themselves in. And so Ending the Silence is an incredible presentation. We offer it to a variety of different audiences. We have the one for youth and we have ones for families. So Ending the Silence for Youth is a 50-minute presentation. We give it to students who are middle school or high school age. We can do it at the school itself, or sometimes we go to Sunday schools or after school programs or, different nonprofits or organizations.
Sports teams. We've done sports teams too.
Absolutely. Anywhere that caters to that age group, we can come in and we can give this presentation, which is led by 2 amazing volunteers, people who have that lived experience that we're talking about. And as with all of NAMI's programs, it's an evidence-based program. Mm-hmm. So the presentation itself, it's a PowerPoint, has a lot of information, both with the slides, but also with videos. So it's interactive for the students, and they really get a better understanding of the basics of what even is mental health. Because before we can go into what mental health conditions are, we have to establish that mental health is something that everybody experiences, mm-hmm. right? Regardless of whether or not you're dealing with a condition, you have a good day and you have a bad day. And we all feel that. We all feel the ups and downs of life. Right. So just establishing that baseline of mental health is a thing that everyone goes through. And if you've experienced a good day versus a bad day, you know what that's like. Now, the difference between that and experiencing something where you're always feeling bad, or maybe you're not feeling anything, you're disconnected with the things that normally brought you happiness, or, seeing or hearing things that aren't there, or risk-taking behavior, maybe eating too much or not eating at all of these things. We break it down so that it's easy for the students to understand and they can connect to it, because those giving the presentation are close to them in age. So those giving the Ending the Silence presentation to youth tend to be close in age to the students, whether they're college students or in their 20s or early 30s. These are the ones who are giving the presentation, laying down the statistics and the facts around mental health, and then also sharing their personal story, which of course makes a huge world of difference, because if you've ever gone in front of a room full of middle schoolers, getting their attention can be a mission.
Right.
But as soon as you start to plant the seeds with something real and, mm-hmm. and open up, the response is incredible. And when I was doing Ending the Silence, I would have students who would literally draw me and then give me the drawing afterwards, students who asked if they could hug me, and sometimes students who would relay certain information that was then important for us to share with the mental health coordinators who worked at the schools. So Ending the Silence has a huge impact, not just for the kids, but for those giving the presentation, since it empowers them to use their story, something which may have in the past brought a lot of sadness or made them think that maybe they didn't have a future. And here they are making a huge difference in the lives of children every day. It's an incredible experience. And then we have the ones for family members. So same concept. Someone who has lived experience as a parent or a caregiver of youth goes into a group of parents and shares their experience. But of course, it's much more centered around the parental or caregiver experience, meaning how to deal with schools when a mental health condition appears, how to deal with clinicians, how to cope with your child or the youth in your life that may be having a hard time. And then also just understanding, what is normal teenage behavior and what is a mental health condition and the difference between that.
Right. And then also how to manage your own feelings. Because when you're trying to understand that someone you care about may have a mental health condition, that's quite a revelation, and that takes some time too. So working to manage that is part of what we share in that.
Absolutely.
Right.
And then in addition to that, we have QPR, our question, persuade, refer presentation that we offer to all groups that educates people on the subject of suicide and the statistics around it. So there are a lot of myths when it comes to this, and Lisa Lesser does an incredible job. Our what's her title?
I don't know, QPR coordinator.
Yeah, QPR coordinator. She's incredible, and she's, I think, saved lives by giving this presentation.
Absolutely.
But a lot of things that people would have no idea when it comes to suicide need to be brought to light, especially just the concept of having a conversation, which is what everyone's really scared of, right? Is that you see that something might be wrong with someone, or that they might not be themselves, and they see a change and they think, oh, how do I talk to this person? And this presentation really breaks down how people can have that conversation. And so we offer that all the time through NAMI, but we can also bring it to other organizations as well.
Right. And we have brought that to so many organizations. One of the things we did, we partnered with Miami-Dade County. So when we saw a rise in suicides among older adults, we partnered with the county and we went to the congregate meal sites, and we have reached almost 300 older adults there with the QPR. And, again, anything we share, our expectation is the audience will then share it with the people they know, so that it multiplies. So, and that's not all of the educational programming we have. We have a lot more. So I invite everyone to go to NAMIMiami.org, take a look at the information we have, because now we're going to get to, we're going to talk about something that's a little less heavy and a little more fun. Coming up on May 10th, we have our Walk for Mental Health Awareness. And this is just an amazing opportunity for the community to gather and continue to build community and get the most amazing feeling of hope and a brighter future, especially on a topic where often people aren't particularly comfortable even talking about it. So you want to give us some details about the walk? Because Absolutely. This is exciting.
I know. I can't wait. I mean, it's only 3 weeks away. It's 24 days, exactly. So yeah, like you said, it is a day where you get to feel incredible things because you're in celebration with people. Like you said, some of these topics we deal with mental health, they can be a little heavy, but this is the opposite of that. This is a day where everyone gets to come together in one place, outside at the beautiful Marlins Stadium, also known as Lone Depot Park. And it's just an incredible place for people to gather. And there's just so many wonderful things about it. My favorite part is just the fact that we have our own little vendor village where all of these resources are just there. So anyone who shows up can have access to information about mental health. We, of course, are there with our peer mentors and all of our outreach folks and all of our program people in one place. So anyone who has questions for us about our services and the different things that we provide,
there's pictures.
We're right there. Oh, amazing. And yeah, these are from the one in 2023 when we were last at Lone Depot Park.
Right.
Oh, it was such a beautiful day. So we have all these different resources available. We have our vendor villages with different tents where anyone can go and talk to all of our sponsors, the different resources in the community. For instance, Jackson Health System will be there. A lot of our friends from the Behavioral Health Alliance who want to share information about mental health are coming, and all the different teams. So different groups that want to walk together on walk day can show up. And so the way that the day works is that everyone shows up at 8 a.m., which is when registration begins. They come through the gates. There is a little security check-in, but people are welcome to bring their bags, and we invite people to bring their families.
Absolutely.
This is definitely a children-friendly, family-friendly event. There's a lot of different activations. There's a kids corner. We're going to have, I don't know if you can see it in the video, but I have some sparkles in my hair today. So a hair tinsel, if anyone wants to get sparkles on their face.
The hair tinsel is so much fun. I had that put in last year, and it lasted 6 months.
Yeah,
in my hair. I had these bronze twinkles in my hair. It was the greatest thing.
Yeah, I think I have my pink ones in now, but given it will be Mental Health Awareness Month in May, I think some green
would be
appropriate. So Sparkled by Sharona will be there, giving us some sparkles in our hair, some sparkles on our faces. We'll have little stigma-free temporary tattoos for anyone who wants those. We're also going to be having a great presence from a lot of our community partners, including, the video. Amazing.
Jawan Strader is going to be hosting for us.
Yes, NBC6's Jawan Strader, who was also our MC back in 2023. That's the funny thing, is that we're back at the stadium and we have the same MC as before. And he's just so incredible. He's done amazing work in the community. He's covered so many important stories for us here in South Florida over the years. And he's just a huge mental health advocate. So having him there really brings me so much joy, and he's just got such a great personality. So I think he really adds to the day, and we're so grateful to have him on board and with us. And
we have a children's activation, children's area from Miami-Dade County Parks and Open Spaces, as well as from Nicholas Children's Hospital, correct? And we have the marching band from Hialeah Miami Lakes High School going to lead the walk, that just gives me chills even thinking about it. But having the marching band there is so exciting.
Yeah, with their color guard and their cheerleaders as well. So it's the whole parade.
It's the whole event. So it starts at 8 o'clock. Everyone's done by no later than 11, right?
That's right.
And the cool thing too is we walk around the inside of Marlins Stadium. So you're inside the stadium. When there's not a game going on, there we got the big NAMI logo on the screen. We love that. Yes. We really love that. And so the teams, I think one of the pictures that we've shown is us on the stage looking out at the team. So all these teams with their matching shirts really stand out. Yeah. The teams cheer each other on. They cheer themselves on. They chant. And it is just an amazingly fun and interactive day, and
especially because we have the live DJ too, so we have all those great videos last year of everyone dancing, having the best time thanks to the cafetera. We were all awake at 8 a.m. because we had our coffee from them, and then we'll have happy coffee there as well, for people to enjoy. So it's early in the day. But it's really incredible just to see everyone come together so openly in celebration of talking about mental health, because for all those reasons we were talking about earlier, people tend to feel really isolated, but this is a beautiful day to be in community. Everyone's out to support. All of our elected officials are there too.
Right. The mayor's going to do the opening. Mayor Daniela Levine Cava. We have several of county commissioners are also going to be there and are supporting this. We're going to be sharing stories of people who have received support and help from NAMI on the big screens also. They'll be sharing their stories and
the Messages of Hope.
Messages of Hope wall. And the Messages of Hope wall, where people who are participating sign the wall, talk about who they're walking for or why they're there, and then we hang that in our office, and it inspires us all year long. It means so much to us, and we actually do walk up to it when we're taking a break, take a look at what somebody said, and it really inspires us to keep going and moving forward. So how do people get involved? How do they register? And how do they join my team?
Most importantly, how do I have the biggest team of them all? So there are a few ways for people to get involved. Again, if anyone needs any help with that, they can always call our helpline, which is
305-665
2540. But otherwise, they can go on NAMIWalks.org/Miami That's where they can register for a team or sign on as an individual participant or join one of our teams. Walk the Walk is my team if you want to join. Just putting it out there.
The MBOs, in honor of my sister, is my team. If you want to join that team, that would be good.
But there are a lot of different groups who join, whether they're walking with a university or local college. University of Miami and FIU have their teams already. Whether it's your fitness group, your Saturday morning hot girl walk, or your 4 p.m. Pilates.
I didn't know that was a thing.
I'll explain hot girl walk.
Okay, yeah.
But whether you're walking with your family, your friends, again, a group that you meet with regularly that wants to do something for a great cause and get together on a beautiful weekend, this is a great thing to do. We also have a lot of sororities and fraternities who also make their teams and who walk with us as too. I've even had people's hair salons get together, their book clubs, whatever it may be. It's just a great opportunity to gather and to feel good about something, and it's one thing to talk about it, but as you know, it's a whole other thing to just be there and realize this is where mental health has taken us. This is where this movement of eliminating the stigma, of having these conversations that, in the moment may feel really challenging. And you're like, am I going to get through this? This is so hard. And then seeing that everybody is there with you, it really embodies NAMI's mission and our you're not alone. And I always think about younger me when I hear that. I'm like, can you imagine I mental health conditions can be one of the most isolating things there are, and it's just look where it took you, look where that experience took you, one of the hardest things you've ever experienced, and now you're literally surrounded by thousands of people in support. It's
I love that. That's great. I have to think that way too, because I never in a million years, like I said, I stayed away from the whole mental illness, mental health thing, and here I am in the thick of it and finding the joy in it. It's amazing.
And with so many important people, it's not just a small group of people, it's thousands of people. It's our elected officials showing their support. It's our the fire truck and the police there with their therapy dogs and all of their different groups. I mean, just this whole pulling of community together is incredible, and it really doesn't matter, what walk of life you come from. All are welcome. Like you mentioned, we'll be walking around the stadium itself. There is a long route and there's a short route. So if people don't want to walk the full 5K, they can just take one lap around and enjoy the vendor village again. And there's also places to sit too. So if, let's say, someone just wants to enjoy the event but is not necessarily interested in walking, there are plenty of places to sit at the stadium too, to just enjoy the ambiance and enjoy everyone's company while still being part of the event. So
kids in strollers are welcome, small children, large children, people of all ages. And so we hope that everyone will join us there at the walk, everyone who's hearing this. Also, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook, right?
That's right, at NAMI Miami.
At NAMI Miami.
And we hope you'll tag us. We'll hope that you'll post pictures of the event, and we'd love to see you with your teams. That's one of my favorite things personally when I look at our social media, is seeing all of the different groups together, smiling, wearing green for mental health, and just being, together and showing that they're walking for mental health. So please tag us, NAMI Miami, if you're out there getting excited for the walk. And we have a lot of different fun things on walk day. So we're just excited to share it with everybody. And I think it's going to be an incredible day.
I know it is. So thanks everyone for listening, for being here with us. Again, Susan Holtzman, Kate Edelson. You can contact us directly or just call our helpline if you want to talk to anyone at NAMI and sign up for that walk team. Thank you.